This video is brought to you by Recon True Wireless Earbuds. Stick around to hear more about them and also a special discount they're offering through my channel. Okay, so I know what you're thinking. A free-to-play digital card game made by Riot Games based on the League of Legends universe. No matter who you are, there's probably something in that sentence for you to hate. But I'm here to tell you today that I am thoroughly impressed with nearly every single aspect of Legends of Runeterra. I walked into it a cynical tourist expecting to find confirmation bias that everything I thought about digital card games was right, and I walked out of it, well, to be honest, I haven't actually walked out of it yet. I'm 40 hours deep-ish, and I'm still playing it on the reg and really enjoying it. I've been collecting hundreds of cards, building numerous decks, making my way through the smartly designed progression system, and steadily climbing the ranked ladder. I have no problem telling you that I'm really enjoying this game, and I really didn't expect to be doing that because I thought I was done with digital card games, and like most of you, I have Hearthstone to thank for that.
Obviously what it is a strategy game based on, it's a collectible card game, and you'll be able to play as World of Warcraft classes, and it's our first free-to-play game.
Did you hear that? That little moment of pause after he announced it was a collectible card game and it was free to play. I think he was expecting some sort of applause then, but it certainly wasn't forthcoming. I remember this moment. I remember watching it on YouTube back then and being gutted that Blizzard was wasting their time developing a crappy free-to-play card game. I mean, who plays card games? These guys, right? Not true epic gamers like me. And free-to-play is garbage. It's 2013, damn it. There are no good free-to-play games except for League of Legends and Dota. This is the worst possible decision that Blizzard could ever make or will ever make. Obviously, we were all mistaken. Hearthstone became a phenomenon and became to digital collectible card games what World of Warcraft was to MMOs. It wasn't the first, but it was the breakthrough smash that set the bar for everyone else to follow. Magic has tried many times to make the jump to digital, but never quite got the momentum it was hoping for. Shadowverse and Gwent both have respectable communities, but still nothing close to what Hearthstone achieved. Valve tried to get into the game with Artifact, but yeah, that didn't go so well. Which brings us to Legends of Runeterra, the digital collectible card game from Riot Games that hopes to succeed where Valve categorically failed and where others enjoyed only middling success. League of Legends is one of the biggest games on the planet, but so was Dota, so that kind of incumbency and brand recognition doesn't guarantee you success. What's Riot gonna do to make sure their card game isn't going to end up on the scrap heap of history? The answer to that question is quite complicated because it's answered at every point in Legends of Runeterra's design. I'm not going to say that Legends of Runeterra is going to be successful. I'm not even going to say that it's going to survive. All I can say is that it's got a great shot at cutting through because its core gameplay design, its progression, its monetization, and its presentation all seem to exist in direct response to many of the frustrations that you probably have with the collectible card game genre. So let me show you how all of that works. The first thing you're going to learn about Legends of Runeterra is that this is really nothing like Hearthstone. It's way slower and I think way more complicated. I remember picking up the basics of Hearthstone in about 10 minutes. It took me a full 2 hours before Runeterra really clicked for me and I understood the flow of combat. The best way to explain it is that in Hearthstone, you drop all of your units, attack and cast spells in one turn. And when you're done, your opponent can then take their turn and do the same thing. Back and forward, over and over again. It's kind of like rugby, it just keeps moving. In Runeterra, the game plays much more like American football. You take a turn and try and make something happen, but before you can execute that move, the opponent has a chance to respond. If you drop a unit, they can drop a unit. If you cast a spell, they can cast a spell. Eventually, the attacker can move their units onto the board and commence the attack. The opponent can then block those units or choose not to. After the attack is over, the players take turns expelling their remaining mana, and then the attack token switches over to the other player and the next round begins. There's a tutorial to help get you up to speed on all of this. Actually, there's quite a few tutorials. I did find some of them weren't exactly clear about what I should be doing, and even at the end of all of them, I still didn't feel like I had a complete grasp of even the basics. That would come later as I got stuck into the PvP matches. I think there's still a ways to go here to improve the new player experience, but this is in beta, so they can fix up that stuff in the future. I want to be clear though, this is a game that takes a long time to get to grips with. There's a tendency on the part of audiences to expect their games to immediately make sense, and while I think that's fair in something like Gears of War or FIFA, card games are a very different beast. There's a lot of complexity to communicate to the player in the opening hours, so I'd encourage you to push through that confusion and arrive at the aha moment. Everything before then is the worst of what's on offer, and when it does click, you'll be able to see just how much there is to enjoy. What made this early game frustration bearable was just how many new mechanics there were to soak up. I sort of thought to myself, hey, this looks like Hearthstone, so I bet there's a bunch of similarities in terms of like statuses and debuffs and effects and all that sort of stuff. The truth is, there really isn't. There's very little mechanical overlap between these two games, and approaching something that was completely new was refreshing, and it dispelled a lot of the cynicism I had going into it. I already talked about how different the basic flow of the game is, but the differences don't stop there. There are just so many mechanics here, like Quick Attack, which allows me to kill blocking enemies before they can strike back, like Frostbite, which reduces your attack to 0, like Fearsome, where your attacks can't be blocked unless a unit has 3 or more attack, like Challenger, which allows you to hook opponents towards you so you can choose who your blocker is, or like Overwhelm, where excess damage done to units is transferred to the Nexus. There's a lot more here than what I've listed, like a lot more. And those are just the base level modifiers. There's strong design work going into each card and what they do, making some really compelling build synergy possible. What I love the most about this game though is that the mechanical depth isn't just sort of cooked up in a test tube. It isn't just isolated ideas thrown together because of reasons. The best parts of the mechanical design come from the world of League of Legends. Riot has reached into the soul of their game and the champions that define it, and they've developed mechanics that align perfectly with that soul, that essence. If you're a current League fan or a reformed League fan like I am, then there's a special hook here that really makes this whole package sing, and that hook is the hero-centric deck building. There are 3 categories of cards in Legends of Runeterra: spells, followers, and champions. Spells are, well, they're spells. Followers are your regular minion cards that typically have some sort of effect when you draw them, deploy them, or attack with them. And finally, there are the champion cards. These are pulled straight from Summoner's Rift and include a host of favorites. Not all champions are in the game, but there's a lot, and I'm sure we can expect to see more added in the future with major updates and expansions. Champion cards are the most fun to use because they typically have strong mechanics underpinning them that are drawn straight from the kits of the actual champions as they would appear on the Rift. So Zed will summon shadows alongside him whenever he attacks, and Braum, there's a meaty card designed to shield a ton of damage. Where things get really fun is that just like in the MOBA, each of the cards can be leveled up by meeting certain conditions. So Braum will level up if he survives a total of 10 damage, at which point he'll now spawn a Poro every time he takes damage. Tryndamere levels up when you or an opponent kills him, gaining bonus health and damage on his second life. Jinx summons a giant death rocket that targets the enemy nexus and damages all enemies on the board. The brilliance of the champion design is how delicately balanced they are. There are actually some really viable decks that don't have any champion cards in them at all. That's because the champions have been tuned to provide interesting hooks and utility, but they aren't so powerful that they become must-play cards. There are in fact no must-play cards in this entire game, at least not so far, and that balancing allows you to build out a wide variety of viable decks around the playstyles, mechanics, or champions that interest you. I've played extensively with a meat wall deck full of Garen, Tryndamere, and other high-health Demacia cards. I've played a Shadow Isles focused deck built around Elise and her spiders. I've played a Piltover and Zorn deck that aims to discard as many cards as possible so I can level up Jinx and finish the game with her. And I've played a deck with Draven. And I didn't like that deck. I thought that deck was shit. If you want to build a deck around a mechanic, you can do that. If you want to build it around a playstyle like aggro or control, you can do that too. And if you want to build it around a champion or a few champions, you can do that as well. Yes, of course, there are the meta decks that everyone is gravitating towards to climb the ladder, but there's also huge scope for just making and playing fun decks, and that's really nice. At this point, you're probably thinking to yourself, even talking about all of this deck building is just making my wallet cry out in terror. Surely this is just Hearthstone all over again, where it's just going to cost me hundreds of dollars to unlock all the cards I'll need to make these decks viable. Surely the grind to unlock this stuff for free is dialed up to absurd levels so that you're forced to spend. Surely they're just going to release new expansions every 6 months to keep me endlessly spending. Why would you want us to sign up for that? Shill up. Why are you doing this to us? Okay, listen. I hear you, but just hear me out for a second. It's really not like that. Progression and unlocking cards in Legends of Runeterra is not only the best I have seen in a digital card game, it's pretty much the best, fairest monetization scheme I have seen in a free-to-play game, full stop. Here's how it works. The world of Runeterra is made up of 6 regions, and as you play the game, you'll choose an alignment to one of them. You can switch your alignment whenever you like at any time without any penalty. When you align with your chosen faction, you'll earn XP that will unlock things similar to a battle pass. Each unlock provides a mix of cards and shards, which is the currency you use to unlock cards. Any cards you already have are immediately converted into shards, so that's good. The beauty of a system like this is that you can guide the reward system in the direction that you choose. So if you want to build a Shadow Isles focused deck and you need cards to do that, then you can align with the Shadow Isles and you can start unlocking Shadow Isles cards. There's daily quests that give you a ton of XP, so you can move through the battle pass fairly quickly actually, and there's a weekly reward that gets bigger the more you play, and I don't play that much, but even I'm surprised at how much that weekly reward gives you. It's anything but stingy. So yeah, not a bad start in terms of design, but there's more. Along the way, you'll earn plenty of what are called wildcards. Wildcards are essentially just tokens that allow you to purchase any card you like at that tier. So if I get a green wildcard, I can use it to purchase any green level card in the entire game. There's 4 tiers, and obviously the champion cards are the most rare, but let me say this. I haven't struggled to build lots of viable decks using only shards and wildcards I've earned. I have maybe 6 or 7 decks that are full endgame viable, no compromises made whatsoever. I got 95% of the contents of these decks without spending a dime because the reward system is so generous and allows me to choose the cards I want to buy. Madness. But get this, you can buy wildcards with real money, but this game has a limit on what you can spend. It only lets you buy 3 champion cards per week, which is the equivalent of around $15. If you wanted to buy every available wildcard every single week, you can only spend like $30. They are so concerned with keeping the economy fair and not pay to win that they put a cap on it. Who ever heard of a free-to-play game actively limiting how much money you can spend on it? Madness. There are boards and cute little companions that sit by your side as you play. It's all inconsequential and it's all totally harmless. So just to recap, this is a card game that gives you a ton of free currency. It allows you to choose where you earn free cards. It gives you tokens so you can buy specific cards, and it limits the amount of money you can spend in the cash shop each week. Madness. All of this wouldn't matter if it wasn't fun to play, but I'm really pleased to say that, yeah, it's actually really fun, and I'm having a great time with it. I really appreciate how slow, methodical, and complex the whole thing is. Going back and playing Hearthstone again after this, it just feels really simple, kind of, I don't know, a bit one-dimensional. Like, I saw holes in its design that I didn't really see before, but I'm not sure the word holes is quite right. I'll say this, I played most of my Hearthstone on my phone. It's a pretty simple game and it's quite quick, especially if you're playing with or against aggro face decks. It's perfect to play on your phone because of how quickly you can get through 1 or 2 rounds before, you know, getting off the throne. Legends of Runeterra is coming to mobile as well, but I don't think it's as well suited to that platform, at least not for quick sessions while doing other things. I've had some games that have gone for like 30 minutes plus. I mean, people are going to start knocking on the door if you're in there for that long, man. Like, it's a long time. There's also a lot of late game stuff that happens that doesn't happen in Hearthstone as much. Many of the heroes kind of level up in the background as you're playing your deck, and I've had many rounds where I was in control of the board the entire time, only to have that snatched away from me as some perfectly executed late game strategy reveals itself in the form of a 1-turn kill. I'm okay with that because I know what it took to get to that point of inflection, And I know it was just as much about careful preparation as it was the flop. And I think that's a really good point to finish on here. At the end of the day, this is still just a card game. Top deck miracles, massive runs of bad luck, your deck being hard countered by the scissors to your rock, all of that is baked into this style of gameplay. I don't think that Legends of Runeterra is going to change anyone's mind about card games. If you hate them, then you aren't going to love this. But if you hated the monetization model that underpins much of the genre, or if you were looking for something slower, deeper, more mechanically complex, if you were looking for something with some really interesting deck building possibilities, or you were just looking for the next great card game to play because you like card games, then I think there's very little chance that you will be disappointed with Legends of Runeterra. So I've been a really early adopter of wireless earbuds. I bought them pretty much as soon as the technology came out, and then I lost those and I had to buy another set. I've always expected them to be really expensive. I certainly paid a lot for those other pairs in the past. And I thought that's just the way it was. Wireless earbuds, expensive. Recently, I was reached out to by Recon, who make true wireless earbuds. This is the E25 series. And they said, how about doing a shout out? I was a bit skeptical because I looked at them and they are literally half the price of pretty much any wireless earbud that I've seen on the market. And I thought, no, they can't be very good if they're that cheap. I've been using them for the last week. I've been super impressed with the quality. I mean, they sound just as good as pretty much any other wireless earbud that I've used. They have a really sleek profile as well. Like, they're very small, they fit snugly, they have noise isolation technology that blocks out pretty much all the sound because of the way they fit. They don't have any kind of dangly bits or whatever, so they look good. They feel really nice to wear. I forget that I'm wearing them, and the sound quality is really, really, really impressive. Yeah, I mean, look, they're running a deal at the moment on my channel where it's 15% off the already cheap purchase price. Just click the link in the description below and also in the top comment, and you get them at a really good price. As I said, I'm, super impressed. Was not expecting it. If you always thought that wireless earbuds were too expensive and you're like, hey, that'd be nice to get those one day, but I can't afford that, then, you know, this is your chance to get a really good pair at an awesome price. Anyway, thank you very much, Recon, for sponsoring the video, and thank you for watching it. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching my video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down so I know to do better for next time. If you enjoyed yourself, consider subscribing, and if you really enjoyed yourself, maybe consider hitting that notification bell so you never miss a video. You can see my patrons here on the left. They're awesome. They're amazing. If you want to join them, check out my Patreon page. Thank you again. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.